They think I'm crazy.
Come in, Ray.
It is not I who am crazy.
Lightning never strikes twice in the same place.
I'd like to introduce Space Ghost.
Nice to meet me.
You with me? Like I said, you're the captain.
Prepare to surge to sublight speed.
Hold on to your butts.
And welcome everybody to the very first episode of Nate Has an Hour to Fill. And that's a title that I think is probably going to be entertaining for as long as it possibly can be.
Yes.
And my name is Phil Machi, and I'm here with Nate Heberlein. And he's a good buddy of mine, and we're going to tell you a little bit about, on this first episode, why we're even here doing this. So Nate, I'll let you take it away.
All right, so we decided to do this. Let me preface with I've known Phil for a couple years. We used to work together, and we always, we'll go see a movie, we'll go out to lunch, and we always come up with the most interesting conversations. And I think this is a great opportunity to share those very unique and interesting conversations with other people.
I agree. And a little bit more about the situation. By the way, we're also drinking some cream sodas as we're doing this recording. Nate introduced me to this Natural Brew vanilla cream soda from, what company is this? Is it Natural Brew?
Yeah, Natural Brew is the name of the company. So here's a little free marketing for them. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's vanilla cream soda. I found this in Illinois actually, and there's no store in Texas that sells it. So I had to special order it. But yeah, I introduced it to him, and I think I ruined other vanilla cream sodas for him. So
true story. Everything else tastes like sugar water at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, this brings me to explaining what this show is and what it isn't. And we're going to do a little bit of an introduction for both of us in just a moment. But before we get to the introduction, here's what the show is. This is a podcast. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. I'm pretty sure the first time Nate's ever done anything like this.
Yep.
If you might know, maybe if you follow anything else that I do, I do have a radio-themed variety show called The Phil Show, and that is a very different show. That is a sketch comedy show. This is just an unscripted meeting of the minds, and we're both very excited to do it. The rules of this show are we are allowed to deviate off of our topic of conversation as so long as it is within like the confines of that subject matter. So in other words, we could talk about, I don't know, the most recent trip to Mars and then go off and talk about if Pluto is a planet or not, because it's both space-related material. But we couldn't jump to, like, say, alligator attacks in Florida.
That just wouldn't make any sense.
That's just wrong. So we're not going to do that. The other rules are we're going to keep the show as close as we can to an hour. So I tonight will be acting as moderator. I'll be keeping a slight watch every once in a while on my stopwatch timer on my phone, and I'll change topics as need be or subjects as need be. But ultimately, we're probably going to run out of time before we're going to run out of things to say. I anticipate that wholeheartedly. And the other thing I was going to say is this show started. I want to say we were thinking about doing this. Like, I think we were in the parking lot for the movie theater we usually go to. And I think I or Nate, I can't remember, one of us, it's 50-50 shot at that point. One of us was saying, like, why don't we tape this stuff that we say sometime? I think that was, somebody was saying that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of us had the idea, because I think outside of just, conversing with one another, I think we both kind of amuse ourselves with how the conversation progresses and the direction that it goes. So
yeah, but it wasn't until like a couple months ago that we ran into one of our former coworkers from our retail days. We were going out to have lunch, and we accidentally ran into him, like, not physically, but I mean, like, in the restaurant. He was already there. And so we kind of invited him to sit with us, and we just started talking, and he was sort of just watching us talk, and he he was like, "Are you guys doing a bit? Is this normal?" Because he didn't hang out with us on the regular. He just knew us as coworkers, and we just explained to him that it wasn't a bit, and that this is how we talk. And so he made the suggestion. He's like, "Maybe you guys should take that show on the road." And so then I was like, "Maybe we should."
And thus the Nate Has an Hour to Fill show was born.
Yes. Ta-da! Nate, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell the world about you.
Yes. So I am Nate Heberlein. I'm a 25-year-old postgraduate student working in the financial industry, and I met Phil back in our retail days, as he said, and when I moved to Texas, actually, because I used to live in Illinois. And so, we just kind of started talking, hanging out, found out that we had some movie interests in common, hobbies in common, such as science fiction movies and comic books and dinosaurs and all kinds of fun stuff that I'm sure we'll get to over the course of the show and shows beyond this. But anyway, we just sort of became friends and started hanging out more and more, and realized over time that we just have the most random conversations, but they're amusing. At least we think they are, and other people have said so too. So hopefully the show will be able to spread that amusement.
Yeah, now that we've unfairly set the expectation, everybody's waiting for like the next bizarre thing that's going to come out of our mouth.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
now of course it's going to be the most normal thing you ever heard from here on out. No, I'm kidding. I moved to Austin July of 2013, and I think Nate, you were not at the store at that point, or you were just getting ready to leave. No, I think you left already.
I had left already because I moved to Austin fall of 2012, and then ended up going back to Illinois to finish up my degree. And I think at that point, sometime while I was gone, you had transferred into the store, and when I came back, that's kind of when we met.
And I was only there for 9 months before I went to my new job. So, but yeah, you came back, and I remember like other folks talking about you, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, Nate's a great guy," and this. I'm like, "Wow, this guy everyone's talking about him, but I haven't met him," and I like wasn't sure why you left, or like I just remember just being confused about the whole thing, and then I remember us talking about movies, and then saying, "Well, we should probably go see this movie," and then that was like, and then it just kind of like exploded from there. So. I don't think I said it yet, but if I did, I apologize. I'm going to reiterate that the format of this show, one of us is going to assume being a moderator, which means one of us picks some of the topics of conversation and the other person will not know. So that way there's some more spontaneity. We didn't rehearse anything. We do both know there's going to be a couple, like, we know like what some of the segments are going to be. But for the most part, other than that, we haven't pre-rehearsed any of this. So without further ado, since we're now like, I'm not sure how far are we in here. Let's see. Well, we'll figure it out here in the world. All right. Anyway, we're a little ways into the show. We're gonna start off with nerd news, and I made the distinct. Holding my ground that tonight we're going to talk about Jurassic World.
Oh no! Okay,
so
all right.
I have to make that happen because here we are. It's May 31st of 2015, and we are a mere less than 2 weeks away from Jurassic World,
which we are both going to go see in IMAX 3D. That's the plan. So.
Yes, and that's something that we like to do. Is not we don't have to see movies. We try to see them in IMAX 3D because we got spoiled. And everything else seems kind of lame.
I saw a movie the other day in just normal with a friend, and I'm like, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking, wow, this is just really not the same thing. Anyway.
It kind of feels like a waste at that point. And I feel bad saying that because, like, I think I commented the other day when we were seeing a movie, I was like, well, it's bigger than my TV screen. Like, it's got to be at least 20 times larger than my TV screen. So you would still think I was, like, feeling better about it, but I don't know. Something about IMAX, it just puts a better spin on things. Anyway, Jurassic World, back to what we were talking about. So I am, and I know Nate is as well. But I just need to make sure I say this. I am such a huge Jurassic Park fan. It has been my I've been saying it's my favorite movie since it came out in '93. And I have a lot of expectations for this film. I could probably go on for hours actually, but I won't. I'll try to hand the ball over to Nate here. But I remember I saw it with my dad in the summer of '93, and I remember leaving the theater after it was over, and there was like a woman that I think she was complaining about it being like too scary or too violent or something like that. And I remember thinking like she was stupid, and I was 13 at the time when I saw it. So yeah, I remember being in the theater. Oh, I never introduced myself.
No, you didn't. This is a great time to do that, though.
Yeah, so we got to come back to Jurassic World. So before we come back to Jurassic World, I'll just say my name's Phil Machi. I used to work retail. I don't anymore. I'm an artist. I have comic strips that I make. You can find them online at philmachi.com, oddly enough. And I also have a radio-themed variety show called The Phil Show. It is a scripted show. And it is nothing like this, but that is, you can see that on YouTube, or hear that on YouTube, rather, at youtube.com/It's The Phil Show. And that's enough about me. And I just turned 34, 2 days ago, so, woohoo!
Happy belated birthday
Thank
from
you.
everybody else in the world.
Appreciate it. Yes, I'm older, yay. I survived one more year. So, anyway. Jurassic World, that's what we're here for.
Yes.
So where were you when you first saw Jurassic Park, I guess is the question.
When I first saw Jurassic Park, I remember, actually, oddly enough, I remember it pretty vividly. I lived in Arizona at the time, and to give a little background, my family and I had moved over from Europe to the United States. And 93 and 94, we were living in Arizona, in Tucson. And anyway, so I remember my brother has always had a very, very great interest in dinosaurs and kind of that whole time period. And so he introduced Jurassic Park to me. And I remember we were sitting up one night, and it was like 110 degrees outside, so we had all the fans on and the windows open and stuff. And we had our tube television that we were watching it on, one with the bubble screens, weighed like 500 pounds. And it was, VHS. I didn't see it in theaters, unfortunately. So I remember it was in VHS, and we had rented it from the local movie store. Not Blockbuster, but another one.
For those of you who don't know, a movie store is a place where people used to go to rent movies.
Exactly. It's like a Redbox, but like a brick and mortar where you actually go in and talk to somebody, and back in the day when there was, VHS and they had an audio section with cassette tapes. And
VHS tape, for those of you who don't know, is a brick that used to play movies for people. And you could fast forward and rewind. You could never skip ahead to go to different chapters.
That's right. Do you remember they actually sold separate rewinders?
Yes.
Like you'd put the tape in and you'd press it down and you could hear the film rolling back up.
Yes.
Because that's what a VHS was. It was rolled up film in there, and
Yes.
we put it into the VHS player. It played anyway. And so
I feel like we could go off on VHS tapes. For an entire segment.
Because it pisses me off to know when people are like, what's a VHS? I just want to smack them. Anyway, Jurassic Park. Yes, I was living in Arizona. My brother and I were staying up one night and we were watching it. After we just rented it from the local store, movie rental place, and I thought it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. My passion for dinosaurs just kind of grew. I remember, buying asking my mom to buy action figures of dinosaurs, T-Rexes and whatnot. And later on, it kind of spawned into my passion for Godzilla, which is not, anything related to Jurassic Park. But, that's kind of how that stemmed right there.
So yeah, and speaking of Jurassic Park toys, which I feel like that's another topic entirely, but I still have all of mine. I have them individually bagged.
Do you really?
I do, and they're all at my mom's basement in Ohio, and I'm working on have them make trips like airmail wise. I don't know how I'm going to do this, But I eventually want my collection to be here. I just need to find a safe way to do it.
You should just like drive down there and just, or up there, wherever it is, and just like put it all into the back of your car and,
I don't think it would fit in my car.
We'll rent a U-Haul. They're like $20.
That seems like a weird reason to rent a U-Haul. But if I do, I'll make sure that my old 1980s computer comes with me.
I was going to say, I'm sure you have other things other than box dinosaurs that are collecting dust for the past,
this is
20
true.
years. So.
This is very true. But yeah, so for me, dinosaurs go back a long way. I'm going to save that conversation. I feel like that
could be a totally different,
dinosaurs,
and it probably will be. Yes.
Yes. But anyway, so the sequel to Jurassic Park, The Lost World, came out in '97, and I went to go see that I actually had a group birthday party, and those of you listening that were there, you remember this very well because we spent the rest of the evening. We all went back to my place and we all watched Jurassic Park, the original, and we complained and griped about how The Lost World was a pale comparison to the original. I won't go into that too much because we're here to talk about Jurassic World, and that's going to happen at some point. And so I'm not even going to go over Jurassic Park 3. That's just another animal altogether. It's another dinosaur. And so Jurassic World coming out on June 12th, and I'm very excited because it looks like they're capturing, I would say, some of the majesty of the original film from the trailer. I was trying to avoid watching trailers. I wanted to be surprised, but
every time a new trailer would come out, he's like, "No, I don't want to watch it." And then we went and saw a movie, and he's like, "Well, crap, I guess I have to, I guess I have to."
Yeah, I'm not gonna shut my eyes during a trailer at a movie screen. Like that's silly. But like there's a lot of very big wonder moments. It looks like they're planning for.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
I'm stoked. I really am. I think they kind of went all out on this one. Actors, they seem to fit the roles, pretty well. Although I'll reserve judgment until after I see it. But it does look like they put some time and thought and effort into it, which is good because they definitely didn't do that for the second one. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely stoked, especially IMAX 3D. It's just going to be amazing.
It is. It is going to be amazing. I'm just jazzed that we get to see just a different take on it, but we're back to Isla Nublar, which is the original island that the first story took place on. I think that's a good way to, I don't know, to rekindle the magic, so to speak. And there are a lot of toys that are already coming out for that. And I went to Target the other day, and I saw some, and I the only one that I purchased, because I've been buying Jurassic Park toys, back in the day as much as I could. But the only one that I purchased from Jurassic World, I find this funny, was the die-cast metal Jeep Wrangler from Jurassic Park that they repackaged it's a new toy, but they packaged it in Jurassic World packaging. I don't know.
It even says Jurassic Park on the side of the Jeep.
Yes.
Which I thought was hilarious. Anyway.
Yes. So that's just, yeah. Anyway. So, I don't know. I guess we could go off on tangents about this, but do you have any other Jurassic World thoughts before?
No. Well, the last thing I will say is I hope this happens, and we'll see if our schedules jive. But I really would like to do a Jurassic trilogy marathon prior to seeing the movie.
I was hoping they were going to do that.
I was too.
They're not. I haven't gotten any emails that they're going to.
I don't think they are, because it's not as big. I mean, like the Marvel one, that was huge, and I know they did the Star Wars one at one point. But I mean, Jurassic Park, it has a large following, but I don't think enough to do like a 6-hour,
Yeah, it pains me to say that it's not as strong of a trilogy as other trilogies that I am a fan of, and I want to say that it could have been like one of the best science fiction trilogies.
Definitely could have been
of all time, but it is not, in my opinion. But what Nate and I are talking about is we went to go see. They had an Avengers double feature,
which was awesome, by the way.
Really awesome.
Sorry, I wanted to add that.
No, that's good. That's good. And there was actually a marathon we did not do, where they had it was an 11-movie marathon.
Oh God, yeah. I think it was like a 24-hour It
was over.
It was over 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like you had to take 2 days off from work or something, which was weird.
They played like chronological order of the storytelling, or was it release date? I thought it was storytelling. I think it's storytelling.
It is storytelling, yeah.
So they played the order of all of the different Marvel movies that are in this wave 1. And then leading up to the new Avengers movie, which that sounded like it'd be a lot of fun. I don't think I could have stayed awake for all of it.
I don't think I could have sat there for like 24 hours because the intermissions were like, okay, you get to get up for 15 minutes and you have to sit down for another 2.5 hours. And I mean, if I want to watch the movies again, I'll do it on my own time.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in a theater for 24 hours straight, 24 plus straight hours.
Well, it sounds like it does sound, if you had the right people with you, that it would be a blast.
Oh, sure.
But the problem I have with this is like, I think it would be a blast if you could talk during the movie. Not that I want to talk during movies, but like if you've already seen them and you're like already nerding out over what's building up to the new movie, I think the whole time you'd be sitting there, at least I would, I'd want to be making connections and going like, okay, see this here? Like, that was like from the other movie we just got done watching, and I bet you they're going to tie that into the new one.
Kind of adding in your own commentary, because I do that when I watch movies at home. I try to keep it into a minimum if I'm watching it with somebody, but if I'm just watching a movie at home, oh yeah, I'll be talking during part of the movie like, oh, that's what they did here, and oh, I remember they linked that to this movie, and so that would be cool if we could do that in the theater, but obviously that's very much frowned upon. So
it is frowned upon unless you rented the theater out.
That's right.
But then I guess to relate it back to Jurassic World, I was kind of hoping they would do that with Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3, and then show Jurassic World. But I'm gonna guess that because it's not as widely loved of a trilogy, that's probably why they didn't do that.
Yeah, they can't do it with every trilogy that has a couple movies per So, but that's okay because diehard fans can do kind of their own pre-showing trilogy at home, which hopefully we will do.
We will do. I think we'll do that. And so now we're gonna move on to. I'm gonna change topics not because I don't want to talk about Jurassic Park anymore, because I could do that for flipping all day. I'm gonna move gears in nerd news and talk about Mars Attacks Occupation. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mars Attacks. You may have seen it as a film in the 90s, I believe it was 97, by director Tim Burton. There have been Mars Attacks comic books that have come out over the years, but for those of you who don't know, Mars Attacks started as a card series from the Topps company in 1962. It's a little education for you guys. And back in, I want to say it was the 90s, after the movie came out, I was really enthralled with the movie and wanted to know about the history. And so I used to get a magazine called Things You Never Knew Existed and otherwise couldn't live without, I think it was, or Other Things You Couldn't Live Without. Can't remember the whole title of the movie, and I probably should look it up. But anyway, the point is, it was a hodgepodge magazine, and this was like before internet was as big of a thing as it is now. So back in the day, so it was a catalog, and you'd find really bizarre things in it. Or just things that were like, I think now you'd find them in a Hot Topic or, just like
one of those novelty stores.
Yeah, like a novelty. Yeah. And so they had like novelty T-shirts in there and like collections. Well, they had this Mars Attacks trading card collection, and they were reprints of the original 1962 cards. Now, again, a little bit more history. Mars Attacks, the trading cards are, they have this long-standing history of being the most widely collected and the ones that raise up in the most value non-sport trading cards. And non-sport refers to any kind of a card that people collect that is not a baseball, football, etc. Yeah. So I bought a set and I fell in love with it, and they're really cool cards. They tell a story. The backs of the cards tell a story, and they were really gruesome when they came out, to the point where they were banned originally. And so then years later, they did another set, and then now a few years back, they did another set, and here we are in 2015, and a new set is coming out soon called Occupation. And what was different this time, Nate, is they're doing it with a Kickstarter, and Topps is raising money on Kickstarter, so they already are going to release the cards, but the idea was if they get enough funding, then they were going to make different cards to go with it. And one of those things was there was a series they did called Dinosaurs Attack, or Attacks, just Attack, I think. Yeah, and Dinosaurs Attack was an 80s trading card series by Topps where dinosaurs, even the plant-eating ones, just came and destroyed people. So anyway, the point of what I was saying was Topps has this new set coming out, and the Kickstarter ends as of right now in about 13 hours or 12 hours.
And you're going to make sure to make a donation so you can get your set.
I will be dropping probably about $100 on cards, but I have the website pulled up right now so I could show you what we're looking at, Nate. And so there's different goals, different stretch goals. You can see right there that there's a Judge Dredd crossover.
Ha, nice.
And and they have like a lot of base cards, which is like the main series, and then they've got like chase cards. It's really cool. The artwork's gorgeous. If you haven't seen it, look it up online. Just a lot of, I mean, it's all good science fiction silliness. But they're even doing these different things this time with these woodcut design cards.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't notice that.
And then some cards that are actually made out of metal, and then they're adding like autographs from some of the artists. So they're putting some really cool original stuff in these boxes. And while we're talking about Mars Attacks, I'm going to be handing my binder of cards over to Nate, and he can take a look through. I kind of want to hear because Nate's never seen my collection before. I've never shown him this, and you have to be in a really good like close circle of friends for me to share the Mars Attacks. But so I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on these cards and the artwork.
Yeah. So while I'm flipping through this, maybe you can kind of give a long story short, 30-second premise of what is Mars Attacks. I know generally what it is, but if people don't really know what it is or they've heard of it, what's the premise of Mars Attacks? I mean, they've made a movie, they made cards. What is it? What's it about?
So that's a good question. The original set was about Martians invading Earth and about eventual lots of destruction, like people getting burned with fire rays and frozen with freeze rays and giant insects basically the Martians using their wonderful tools of destruction to make giant insects. And then there's like a bit of sex appeal in there, but they actually did some of these cards, like this one here. Mm-hmm. They actually painted more clothing on the women because there was like concern that it was gonna really upset people, and it did actually upset people, even with the extra paint.
Did it really?
Yeah, and
just because of the suggestive themes, or what?
Yeah, the themes, and parents were like really this really caused some outrage, whatever the word I'm looking for is, back in the 60s. And so the end of the story, at least the first ones, is that the humans go to Mars and they end up killing the Martians, and at the end. There have been other sets that come out since then, but this new set actually is the Martians, and they've already invaded, and it's about their occupation, like while they're here, like while they're occupying Earth, what happens during that. So very, very cool stuff. And what I think is just amazing is there's such a great community of people out there. Like, there's a lot of Mars Attacks fans, and there's like these rewards on these stretch goals and on Kickstarter where you can pledge $10,000, and people have done it. And
that's crazy. They've raised almost $180,000 in total, I think, is what it said at the top.
Yes.
Which is just unreal. I mean, I think it's one of the largest Kickstarter efforts.
Yeah, well, it's cool because on this one they're going to actually combine the Dinosaurs Attack and Mars Attacks in one. Like, there's going to be some cards that cross the two. Yeah.
Very cool.
I think it's funny on this one here, the $10,000 pledge, they actually make it a point to put free shipping listed on the bottom. I'm not sure if you're spending $10,000 if free shipping is like a concern for you.
Or, I mean, on the other hand, though, it's the least they can do if you're contributing $10,000 to their effort or to their cause. The least they can do is give you some free shipping.
I don't know. I'm of the mindset that the least you can do is nothing. Like, that's the literal least you could do.
That's true. But then that would show that you don't care.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So yeah, the cards you're looking at right now, with those green and silver borders, those are like called parallels. So they're the same cards, but they have a different border, and they're actually a lot rarer. Now these are 3D cards.
Oh, these are like holographic. These are cool.
Those are really sweet. That's from the set they did a couple years back. Pretty cool.
And I noticed, quick question, but I noticed the earlier ones I was flipping through, they're numbered. Do you have all of them?
So of the first set I do, they did a re-release of that set. I do have all the numbers for that. of the original 50. What is it? 55.
55.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they ended it on a card that was like a short synopsis of the story, which I could read if you like, but whatever. I'm sure you guys could find it online if you want to look it up. But I don't have all the parallels.
Cool. And on the back of the final card, it gives you a checklist.
Yes.
So yeah, there's 55. Well, including the checklist card, there's 55 cards. That's cool.
That's actually a good debate right there. Should the checklist be included as a card? I guess it is a card.
Well, it's like, is the table of contents a page in a book? I mean, you know.
Oh, is it?
It's counted. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did they put table of contents, page 1, table of contents? Do they actually do that?
No, I think, but some books they'll have. They'll have the table of contents, and then they'll have like the title, but then the first page doesn't say page 1. It says like page 6, you know, and there is no page 1 through 5 because page 1 through 5 is allocated to the table of contents, about the author, da-da-da-da-da.
That's kind of like an annoying person that follows you around like, hey, here you are today, it's Monday. What day is it? It's Monday. And you're like, yeah, I know it's Monday. Right, but I'm reiterating it. This is the first day of the work week. What is it? Well, yes, I just told you that it was. I don't know. That's what that makes you think of. Is somebody like narrating your life.
It just follows you around and tells you the obvious.
Yeah. It's page 1. Here's table of contents. Page 1. Page 1. Table of contents.
That's probably why they didn't number the first few pages. They just started out the first chapter on like page 6 or page 8, which I never understood until I actually thought about it. But
I think that's weird.
Yeah.
Although I think I've seen older books, I think I've seen them do numbered starting on page 1 of the story. I kind of prefer that.
Yeah, it makes more sense because, you know, if you're reading an 800-page book, are you reading a 796-page book? Or, you know, I mean, it's like, how do you really...
Right.
And
what about, like, they have cover pages, which are just like a white page?
Well, that's true. That's
technically a page.
That's true.
It's a piece of paper in the book.
Well, some books, their chapter, when they change chapter, they dedicate a whole page to the word chapter and then a number.
Is that a page?
Well, I think so, because because if it's double-sided, which most books are, the next page it skips a number.
So that's weird though. Like, do I really care that page 50 is like chapter 5, but the words chapter 5?
Right, exactly.
I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't feel weird about that.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those things that I guess I think it's become a standard for if you want to publish a book. You know, these are just some of the semantics you have to get over.
You have to be redundant if you want to publish a book, ladies and gentlemen. You have to be willing to say things more than once in different ways.
That's exactly right.
Anyway, this is really good cream soda.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's it for nerd news. I think I'm going to let Nate look through the rest of those probably later on, or I don't know. But we're going to move on to a different segment, and this segment is going to be nostalgia time. Yes, and we are back with nostalgia time. We're back! I didn't go anywhere, but I I left momentarily, and I came back mentally. Actually, Nate had an idea for nostalgia time today. Even though I'm moderating, I asked him what he wanted to do for nostalgia time. And Nate, I'll let you explain that.
So, nostalgia time, that was inspired. I got that idea. I was. Well, let me collect my thoughts. I was seeing a movie with a friend.
How do you collect your thoughts? Like, do you put that in like a dream catcher?
Yeah. You know, everybody says, "Oh, I'm going to put it on the back burner." You know, well, do you have a back burner in your head? I mean, is there literally like a stovetop in? You know,
so that kind of makes me wonder about like when people are like, "So what's cooking?"
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, "I got something on the back burner."
Yeah. I mean, it's all kind of themed, you know, but it's all.
There's a lot. I wonder if we have a lot of other cooking analogies like in our dialogue that we don't even know. Like, what else? There's like bun in the oven.
Yeah, that's true.
Calling a woman a tomato. That's more of a 1940s thing.
I don't think people call women tomatoes anymore.
No, that's like a food thing.
Yeah, I guess.
What else? Saying somebody's hot stuff. Is that a cooking reference?
No, it's temperature, really. That's not.
Okay, anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Anyway, see, these are these tangents I just love. But yeah, so nostalgia time. this is going to be a segment of the show, and it might be recurring. I hope it is, because I think this could be interesting, depending on who comes up with the subtopic. But this particular one came to fruition because I was seeing a movie with a friend a couple days ago, almost a week ago, and we were waiting.
Same difference.
Yeah, exactly. It was in the past. We were waiting to get our ticket and standing in line, and it just, for whatever reason, kind of sparked a thought of back in the day, and I'll use that again. Back in the day when you would see a movie on opening day, or better yet, like kind of the midnight release, you would get your ticket ahead of time. Excuse me, vanilla cream soda's coming back with a vengeance.
Vanilla cream soda 2.
That's right.
This time it's less fizzy.
Well, better out than in, I always say. But yeah.
Watch the carpets.
And we were waiting in line. I remember thinking, back in the day, if you were to go see a movie, like a new release movie in theaters, you'd buy your ticket and then you would wait in line outside of the theater. And one in particular, there was a theater back in Illinois where my brother and I went to see Star Wars. And we were just so stoked. And we got dropped off by our mom, in the minivan, and at the movie theater, and there was a line that was literally wrapped around the building, and this was back when people didn't just walk into the theater, buy a ticket, and sit in the theater until it filled up, and then watch 20 minutes of commercials before you even get to the previews, before you even get to the actual movie. So it just sort of was like a kind of now and then analogy of like, well, this is how it used to happen, and I kind of like that because that's how I grew up. You go to see a new movie, and you would stand in line outside, and you'd get all excited, and sometimes I remember the night that we went and saw Star Wars. There in the little kind of the quad of the theater outside of the main entrance, there was actually people dressed up in like Star Wars costumes, and they were reenacting kind of parts of the previous movie, which was just awesome. It added to the experience versus you going to sit in the theater and you sitting there watching TV commercials on a giant screen, for 20 minutes before you even get to the preview.
See, now that raises an interesting question because I'm not going to argue with you, but like you said, I think that was the better way to go because that was what I grew up with.
Yeah.
Now, I happen to think that was the better way to go, but do you think it's better because it's what you grew up with, or is it like legitimately a better thing?
Well, if you think about it, so yes, I can be biased and I can say that's what I grew up with, therefore that's what I'm, that's what I prefer. But if you think about it, would you rather, wait in line with other people who are just dying to see this movie and have the, and a lot of times there was, they would have events that, like people dressing up and kind of, acting out scenes of the movie, or you'd stand in line and you'd talk to people about the movie and how much of a fan you are. Or would you rather walk into the theater, buy a ticket, sit in an empty movie theater and look at a screen, look at commercials until the theater fills up, and then and then get into the previews in the movie?
It does feel more antisocial now.
It really does, because you walk in and you sit down and it's kind of dark, and you might converse with the person next to you, but really it's like, okay, everybody's sort of just waiting until the commercials are done, which is a whole other topic, and actually that might be a good one to jot down for next time.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be commercials at the movie theater. Leave that for cable television. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that. But so yes, I honestly think it is more of a social interaction. It's more of an experience to go to the theater and wait in line in anticipation and just be around, be with people before you get into that dark room. Be able to talk to people standing in line, and it just adds to more of the the build up versus how they do it nowadays.
See,
I don't know.
I think like as a side note, like I don't really feel as if going on a date at a movie theater is a smart thing because like you're trying to I'm not going off on, okay, go with me on this. It's not too far of a tangent. I'm just saying I feel like you're in a room with a person in the dark and you're watching a show and you're in public, so you can't talk. So it's arguably one of the least social things you can do with somebody. Like the social aspect is the talking about it beforehand and then the talking about it afterwards. And if you don't have that, you just went to go spend 2.5 hours with somebody in a dark room staring in the same direction.
Right. So and stereotypically, people say, "Oh, dinner and a movie." That's what a common date is. You go out to dinner and you go see a movie. Well, right. But if you think about it, like Phil said, you're not paying attention to your girlfriend or boyfriend because you're in a dark room, and okay, you might be holding hands. Maybe you're the young teenage couple who's making out in the back row. Good for you. But point is,
good for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for you.
Way to go. Guys out there, don't try the whole arm behind the seat thing. That doesn't work. Anyway,
arm behind the seat.
Yeah, where you pretend
behind
to
the girls, not behind the seat.
Well, you kind of reach behind and okay, it's kind of behind the neck. Yeah, okay. Anyway, my point is
that's why it's not working for you. It's because you're trying it behind the seat with the girl you take out. You should be trying it behind the girl. That's what's happening.
Oh,
I just found out where
the seat was never responding, so I always just figured it was a flub. But but yes. Anyway, so
but I recline.
Yeah, exactly. So just it doesn't work. It's not a good date because then you spent the majority of the evening in a dark room staring at the screen. And it's just, I don't know. It's not very.
I agree.
Not very romantic.
But see, like what you're saying is, if you take a girl out and you're going to be waiting in line with her,
right? Exactly.
Then you can talk with her about the idiots in the costume.
Exactly.
I'm kidding. No, and you're like, look at that idiot. Aren't you glad that I'm not dressed up like that guy? And then she can be like, oh yes, I think that's really great. I would walk home right now. And then you'd be like, I know. I can't wait to go in there and make out with you. And then she would be like, oh, yes, I hope you put your arm around me and not around the chair like you did last time. It's like I was there, Nate.
I know, man.
It's
crazy.
It is crazy. By the way, which Star Wars was that you went to go see?
That was Episode 1.
The Phantom storyline.
Yes.
I mean... I remember going to see that as well, and I think they gave away like trading cards.
They did. I still have mine.
I have mine too, actually.
Yes. See, that was back when you actually got stuff. Well, I can't say that because
we did get.
We went to the
more than one thing.
We went to the Avengers and got some pretty awesome stuff.
We got a poster.
And we went to the Divergent Insurgent double feature, which was actually kind of cool.
Yes.
Because I'd never seen those movies before. So
me neither.
When we got there, we were the first group in there. And when we came out, everybody was cheering, which just kind of added to the fun.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, we got this like 3D glasses thing, which took us a while to figure out how to get it to work. But
you had to fold it and construct it and like
yeah.
But then we also got posters from.
Oh, that's true.
What the heck was it called? Jupiter Rising.
Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Rising. What is that? Wait, is that like a book or something?
It probably
Jupiter
is.
Jupiter
Rising. It sounds like
sounds like a band.
It could be.
Jupiter Rising.
Jupiter Ascending was the movie we went and saw, and yeah, they gave us
what the heck's Jupiter Rising?
Rolled up. I don't know. You're gonna be on that for a while.
I'm stuck on that now.
Well, you have Google pulled up, so while I'm talking, you can look it up.
I'm gonna look up Jupiter Rising. I need to find that.
But yeah, that's a good point because we did get that poster, which I remember when we bought our tickets. I was first, and I bought my ticket, and she gave me the poster, and I was like, "Oh, can I get a rubber band, to put around the poster?" And Phil goes up and buys his ticket and gets his poster and goes, "Oh, that's cool. You got a rubber band. I want one." So we asked for another rubber band. I don't know. It's the simple things in life.
It is simple things
that you remember. And
Jupiter Rising was a band. Look at that.
Oh wow!
I totally had it. Why do I know that? I don't know.
I don't know. What type of music did they play?
They're best known for a song called "Go." Oh, they're
it was an American pop duo.
Dance rock, funk, pop rap, electro pop rock, dance pop.
Dear Lord, okay.
Oh, that's all. Sorry, that's all the genres. That wasn't one genre.
I'm like, wow, they're a very eclectic duo right there. That's a.
I just like that. I wish that was like a I wish that was a category. Hey, what are you guys? What kind of band are you? Oh, we're a dance, rock, funk, pop, rap, electro pop, rock, dance, pop band. Oh, yeah.
I love that type of
That's
music.
my favorite kind. I have so many bands like on my computer that I like that. But yeah, Jupiter
Looks
Rising.
like they've only made 4 albums, but that's good to know that they were a band. Okay.
2009 is the last one.
06 to 09, so they were short-lived, but that's okay.
Wait, are they done?
Well, it's it looks like it's a year between each of the albums, and it's been 6 years since the last one. So unless they're going to do a comeback, I've never heard of them.
I don't know why I even know them.
I don't know either.
I don't know why I know half the stuff. Okay, well, anyway.
So
we're
talking about movies.
Star Wars.
Right, we were talking. That's right, about movie experiences.
Oh, right.
And how
free stuff.
And that was right, and free stuff. So we kind of went from now to then comparison of like seeing a new release movie in theaters and
to swag.
To swag, which who doesn't like free stuff, right? But so between all the movies we've seen, we've gotten posters, we've gotten weird build-it-yourself 3D glasses.
I got a pin.
And you that's right. You won an Avengers pin, didn't you?
did.
Because you answered some trivia, which I don't know how you knew that. But
I used my general knowledge of comics to answer it because I'm actually more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. So it was a little bit of luck and a little bit of like I have an idea of when stuff started. So I think the question was when was the Avengers like comic first introduced?
That's right. When was the comic line first?
I think it was like 1964, something like that.
Yeah.
And the options were like 1961, 1967, 1964, and
It was kind of around the same time period. But I remember you were like, "Well, I think it was like." Because you thought it was like 62 or something, and you were like, "Well, that was the closest one." So
yeah, and I was like 64, and they're like, "Yes!" And then the girl in front of me, I remember she looked back and she goes, "Did you even know that, or did you guess?" I'm like, I knew it.
Way to save face.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had an idea. I didn't have the year memorized, but I had like a good general. I think having a general idea, like I know when
ballpark time period.
Yeah, like I know where Germany is generally. Like if you had to give me a map, I probably could point it out, but like
so history versus geography, two kind of different subjects.
That's true.
But
I know when the Battle of 1812 was. roundabout.
Roughly.
It was around 1810, I think.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Anyway, I think we're gonna switch gears again from we're done with nostalgia time. We're done with it. Although we might come back to something nostalgic, but
I'm sure we'll revisit it. It'll be nostalgia. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Okay, we are now going to be doing something called Would You Rather. And Would You Rather is a fun idea, I think. I'm having fun with it already. And we get to answer the question, Would You Rather? And so I picked the question, but Nate has no idea what I picked. And so I'm looking forward to this. So you have to give a reason why. You can't just say which one you'd rather.
Okay.
So, would you rather, Nate, clean a public restroom without protection?
What do you mean by protection?
So you can't have any like rubber gloves.
Oh, no gloves. Okay.
You can't have a face mask.
Can I use like a sponge, or am I using like?
No, you can use like a product and like a utensil, but you can't cover your body up.
Oh, okay.
You can't prevent like the inevitable backwash of cleaning something.
The public grime that that's
well, because like when we can't see every particle that happens. When you're doing anything in life, there's something that's probably splashing back.
Right. Residue that
and you have to breathe at some time.
Which is
So if you're cleaning a toilet and you have to breathe, you're probably like ingesting something.
Right. And when I use a public restroom, not cleaning, but when I use a public restroom, I try to breathe as the least amount as possible. So this is an interesting question.
Yeah. So would you rather? And yeah, exactly, because you have to be in there for a while.
Exactly.
So
you're not just in there for 30 seconds taking a leak and then coming out.
Exactly. So this is the would you rather. This is interesting because Nate and I both had retail experiences together, so this is going to land pretty hard.
Oh no.
Would you rather clean a public restroom without protection or shake 1,000 people's hands and then eat a sandwich without washing your hands first? And you used to shake hands constantly, and
yes.
You know as well as I do that not everybody washes their hands after they leave the public restroom.
That is true. Now I'll answer that, but I want to. So here's a quick story. I remember I was helping this gentleman back in my retail days, and to answering questions on whether he wanted to buy something, and he's like, oh, hold that thought. I need to go use the restroom. And I was like, okay, that's, all right, go for it,
This is already going south.
Yeah,
already.
I know. You could just tell where this is going. So anyway, I wasn't waiting around for him, but, I was helping other people. And then 10 minutes later, I don't know where the hell he went. Maybe he used the restroom and decided to, leave the store. Anyway, so it was 10, 15 minutes later. I don't know where he is. I finished helping another person. I went to use the restroom because I had to take a leak. So I'm in there, and out of the stall, because there's in the bathroom, there's one urinal and there's two stalls, with doors. So out of the first stall comes this dude that I was helping, and I'm standing there at the urinal, and I see out of the corner of my eye, kind of peripheral vision. I'm like, oh, that's the dude, and without even thinking about it, he opens the stall door, walks past the sink and out the door. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, did he really just do that?
And here's why that story hits me so well is I had the same story happen to me in Ohio.
In Ohio, yeah, and this was here in Austin, which was, I don't know, it's just
nice to know that
it's
slovenly behavior is a universality that
it's not state specific. But anyway, so I washed my hands, and I can honestly say I did wash my hands because I'm not a germaphobe or anything, but I think that's just nasty if you're going to use a public restroom and not wash your hands. Anyway, so I did my business, washed my hands and went back out on the floor. And the guy came up to me, he was like, "Oh, I was looking for you. I'd like to go ahead and buy this." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And the whole time thinking, "You didn't wash your hands. You didn't wash your hands." And so we get it to the register, and he hands me his card, and I remember just thinking, I don't want to touch that. And so I took the card and I swiped it and whatnot. He signed and I gave him his receipt. And then he stuck his hand out to shake my hand. And I remember just thinking, oh, God, of all the people, because a lot of times people will just be like, hey, they'll take their product and they'll be like, hey, thanks, have a good day. And they'll walk out of the store. I was really hoping this would be one of those times. But he was like, oh, you've been awesome. Thank you so much. And stuck his hand out. And I was like, I fought so hard to not shake his hand, but I didn't want to be rude. So I shook his hand. Anyway, that's a good segue. So it's not just a random story. It's a good segue. I would honestly rather...
When I was thinking of this question, I started going... I made the same noise you just made in my head. I was just like...
Yeah,
I have to pick one.
There's really no good answer here. It's
really
like
isn't.
lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But
is it?
Well, and honestly, I mean, because it really depends on what public restroom you're cleaning. Because, I mean, if you're talking like a public train station, there's no way in hell I'm going to clean that. If you're talking like a department store, I would be more, I'd be okay to possibly clean that. So
I have to get more.
So you really
specific
do
next time.
because
I have
it's
to
like
start saying like where the restroom is located.
right. I mean, and is it? Am I standing outside the men's bathroom shaking their hand right as they come out of the bathroom?
No.
I mean, or am I shaking hands just randomly in public?
This is hands you don't. And to me, it's just as bad. But these are just like 1,000 people are like for some reason in a fictional land. I imagine you are at like it's like a kissing booth, and you're at the head of it.
Just less exciting,
right? Yes, exactly. And there are 1,000, but just as possibly nasty.
That's true.
1,000 people waiting in line
to shake your hand,
and then they walk away.
And they walk away.
You don't know where they came from. You don't know what they were scratching while they were in line. You don't know what they were, whatever.
What they had eaten prior.
Yes, it's 1,000 hands versus. Now here's the other thing: like, which would take longer? I think that's true
because
question.
duration. Because would I
Yeah.
rather be in a bathroom? I can clean it in 30 minutes, or would I rather stand there for 2 hours shaking dirty people's hands?
How long would it take to shake 1,000 people's hands?
Well, I don't know. Depends on how fast they
How long does a handshake take? Like
I don't know, 2 seconds. I mean,
No, you gotta like.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like if you count 1,000, 2, 1,000, your handshake is over.
I don't know. I've had some long handshakes.
I mean, okay, maybe 3 or 4 seconds at most, but anything more than that gets kind of weird because then you're just like, okay, I'm still shaking this guy's hand. I don't,
Anything more than that, and you're exchanging DNA.
Exactly, that's just weird. So, okay, we'll say 2 to 4 seconds times 1,000.
So what's that?
I don't know. It's just say average is 3,000 seconds. I don't know what. divided by 60 for minutes.
So 2 to 4 seconds. Let's say 4 seconds, worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
Right, and we're multiplying that by 1,000.
So it's 4,000 seconds
right?
divided by 60 seconds in a minute.
So that's 66.666666.
Oh, that's a horrible number, Lord. Okay.
It's all sixes. It ends in a 7, though.
It ends in a 7. Okay, so it's about a little over an hour.
So you're going to be shaking hands for a little over an hour.
Just straight for a little over an hour.
And you think you can clean a bathroom in less time than that?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, so hypothetically, it depends on how big the restroom is.
Or is it men's or women's? Because you and I both know that
that's true.
Women's restrooms, for some reasons,
I've never been in one, but from what I hear, they can be just as bad or worse.
I've heard worse
than men's restrooms.
I've heard that from women,
which is weird because a woman, you go into the restroom, you sit down. Well, how the hell do you?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I know. I mean, in theory, like in guys' heads, how women go to the bathroom. And this isn't to get graphic on the show, but you sit down whether you're taking a leak or you're doing other business. You sit down.
I like how other business sounds so vague. Like, now I imagine her like sitting there doing long division or something, or like
really that falls under other business
or taxes. I guess that's more like it. Taxes. Is it the vague category?
I know. I mean, use your imagination.
Do number 1 or various other numbers.
That's right.
That range from 2 to several. You'll find business is done in the bathroom.
That's right. And typically, so guys, you can stand at the urinal, which obviously there's splashes going on, and you're getting it over. I mean, you're getting it all over the floor, the walls. I mean, and I don't care. Nobody's a cleanly. Urinator in public. I mean, it's just, it's just, most people aren't even cleanly urinating at home. So anyway, not to get graphic, that's kind of a tangent. But so would I rather clean? And so we don't know where it is, we don't know how big it is, and we don't know if it's a men's or a women's restroom.
Right.
There's a lot of ambiguity around this this what if.
So let's make it like worse.
So pick a specific out of where, who, what, where, when, why, and then
women's restroom,
and I'll compare it to the 1,000 handshakes.
All right, so 1,000 handshakes for over an hour.
For about an hour, yeah. Okay.
Let's say less than an hour because maybe like just under an hour because maybe people are like
45 minutes to an hour. Yeah,
they're feeling kind of shy. They don't want to shake for 4 seconds.
Right, exactly. So, that's a long handshake.
They're gun shy. So then maybe they're weirded out by you.
That's true. They might be like, man, I don't want to touch this guy,
right.
but I'm going to be polite and
don't forget, though, there are sweaty handshakes.
That's true, which is just... Oh,
so anyway, so we've got that option A, and then option B is going to be, let's say, women's restroom at a theme park.
Oh, God.
On a hot July.
Oh, you had to say a theme park.
You had me get me specific. I'm going to say like 8 o'clock at night, because that gives you like pretty much all day. Pretty much all day.
And so refresh my memory. How big on average are typically a restroom at a theme park?
So this is going to be, I'm going to say it's going to be 3 stalls.
3 stalls
max, because this is a inappropriately sized restroom. That way, the women have to wait in a longer line than the most popular ride there. and so there you go. So it's three stalls.
Okay, so a decent sized restroom.
We're going to say 3 sinks.
Okay.
And then we're going to say there's also a changing station.
Oh, no. Okay, okay. And you said it's 8 o'clock at night, so kind of...
And it's July.
It's July.
It's the 4th of July.
It's like 120 degrees outside. Yep. Okay.
And it's in Austin.
It's in Austin. That's even worse. Okay.
And and right next door to it, there's also that place that makes like chili fries.
Oh, that's better. That's even better. So you know where people are going right after they eat those fries.
Right. On the roller coasters.
Yeah, exactly. And then to the restroom.
And then to the restroom, yes.
Where they can relieve from both ends. Anyway, that was wrong.
But strangely accurate.
That's true. Okay. Oh boy. Man. I honestly, and I'm sure there's people that would disagree with me with this one, but
by this right now.
I would probably have to say shaking people's hands, and let me and so I'm going to explain this in a few different ways. First,
keeping in mind you have 3 minutes left to go in our
well, that's okay. So first of all, you don't know. I mean, there's a chance that all 1,000 people just are these nasty people that don't shower, and they've got sticky on their hands, and they've just been scratching their crotch, for the last hour waiting in line. That's true. You could argue that that's potentially all 1,000 people, but there's also a chance that there are some cleanly people that maybe have washed their hands recently, and who knows? There might be a really attractive woman in that line, and you might spend a little longer on her handshake.
Oh man, that's a
And
whole other topic.
That's
right
a whole
there.
other topic right there. But there's a potential to meet somebody versus you 8:00 at night in a theme park cleaning a woman's restroom right next to the chili fry stand. I mean, there's really no good outcome of that
You're
one.
going handshake on this.
I'm going handshake on this.
Need I remind you though that attractiveness is not an indicative nature of cleanliness.
That's true. There are some very attractive people out there that are, I'm sure, slobs.
Yes, very attractive looking, but not very attractive.
Yeah,
in
that's
their
true.
habits.
That's true. But
I'll accept that answer.
so that's my answer. Take it or leave it. I'm
Okay.
sure there's an equal number of people out there that would fiercely disagree with my answer and say that cleaning a woman's restroom in a public woman's restroom at a theme park in July next to a chili fry stand is better. But
I would love to hear what people at home think about this.
That's true.
And so I'm going to say, if you want input on this, send your answer to that question, and maybe we'll discuss it at the beginning of the next show.
That's true.
And
yeah.
send it to. Should we use my email, or should I go ahead and just make a new email address when this is done?
Let's create an email
Okay.
for the show.
So let's just, assuming that it doesn't already exist, we'll say send your email to natehasanhourtophil, and that's Phil like PHIL at gmail.com.
There you go. That works. Yeah.
And so we are at the 59-minute mark, and so I think now is a good time to wrap up our first episode.
I think so.
It was very exciting.
This was honestly, and so for those listeners out there who maybe didn't catch the first 5 minutes or so, this is not scripted. I mean, we came up with some general broad topics, like what was it, nerd news and nostalgia time and whatnot. So but like he said, I didn't know the question of the would you rather do this or this, and none of the details of our conversation, and especially our very random tangents, none of this was scripted. So this is all just impromptu, us sitting here drinking vanilla cream soda, and an hour passed by, and it seems like we just started 5 minutes ago.
It does actually
to me,
Yeah, that's what usually happens, and we're always like, wow, that was kind of long.
How many times have we hung out, and we'll just hang out a little bit, and then it's like 2:00 in the morning, and we've just been talking for the past like 3 hours, and it's like how the hell did that happen,
Yeah. Well, I think what's great about that also is that like I kind of just want to remember some of those conversations.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if nothing else, if no one cares that we're doing this and no one listens, like we have a thing to go back and listen to.
We'll have a good archive, yeah.
Yeah, and be like, oh, what was that thing that we said that was kind of funny that one day? Because you told me earlier to write something down for next time, and I actually didn't write it down. And now I don't know what it was. But I can go back and listen to the show, and I can remember what it was.
That's true.
Because I didn't write it down.
I think I did ask you, yeah.
You did.
For something for next time, but I don't even remember what it was.
I don't know. I got to start writing stuff down, though. That's like the lesson I think I'm going to... I didn't learn it because I clearly haven't done it yet, but I'm going to say that's the lesson I learned today.
It's a lesson in progress.
It is.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for listening, everybody, and if you like the show, please let us know. I think we're probably going to keep doing it regardless, but still, we want to hear your feedback, and if you have things you would... I guess you want to hear us talk about?
Yeah, just suggested topics. Honestly, that email that we will create right after the show, that's a great place for feedback. It's a great place for suggested topics. If we pose a question like we did a few minutes ago, for what would your answer be? We would love to cover those on the next show.
Yeah.
So, and we'll be checking that and responding. So
yeah. Well, thanks Nate for coming over. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will see everybody again next time.